Welcome back to the Real ResQ podcast, powered by Vertical Helicast. This part 2 episode is being sponsored by Blue Drop Training and Simulation. They understand the challenges of operating in high-risk environments. That's why they specialize in training and simulation. Check them out today at bluedropusa.com or bluedropts.com. And Anodyne Electronics Manufacturing, leading by design, avionics solutions for fixed-wing and rotor-wing aircrafts. Check them out today at aem-corp.com. Now, coming up next in this part 2 episode, we finish our conversation with a guy who's a firefighter. He was a smoke jumper. He's the author of the book, Smokejumper. That's right, Mr. Jason Ramos. My name is Jason Quinn. I am United States Coast Guard Rescue Swimmer number 500. These are my rescues and rescues from those of us that put our lives on the line every day so others may live. This is the Real ResQ podcast. All right, Jason, run us into another one of the memorable fire jumps that you got to call in on.
You know, there's a few, man. There's so many. I lived a little bit Indiana Jones. A boulder that came down the size of I'd say a car, and I remember that fire. We demobbed that fire, the path of that boulder that went down. So basically, a boulder broke loose. Right, heat expands, things happen on fires, and we knew there were some big boulders. And I was working a little spot of the fire, before jumpers that jumped into a very austere part of Chelan, which is, the place is horrible. It's just not my favorite place to jump, but it's hardcore. And I remember, heads up briefings in the morning, hey, watch out for the big boulders, whatnot. And had a big fir tree, conifer there. And I said, well, if anything happens, this is a big DBH. That means very wide tree, the radius of the tree. And this thing something breaks loose. And I look up, I remember seeing trees, like a gorilla or something pushing trees to the side. I'm like, oh shit. That's not a rock. That's we're talking Indiana Jones, right? And as you know, right, everyone says it's corny, things slow down a little bit, right? Your brain gets in a different, right? I might die. And I'm looking up the hill, right? We're on a, kind of a steep area. And I'm like, are you effing kidding me? This thing's coming towards me. Right, because it was very brushy, a lot of conifers in that area, so I couldn't see. Like, there's no open, and I'm like, are you effing kidding me? This thing's coming right at me. So I jump behind, jump in front of this conifer. It hits the conifer. Things are coming out of the tree. The rock kind of like splits. It's still going, and a couple seconds go by. I'm covered in stuff, and I just looked. I said, am I hurt? Am I okay? I'm alive. And I remember one of the PJs was on the fire, and I radioed up to him, can you come down? And he said, yeah, you okay? Yeah. He comes down, he sees me, sees the tree, sees everything, and we both sit down. Like, there was very little talk. Like, it's like, oh shit. Whew, okay. Hope no one was walking. I don't know where that rock went to. Like, did it go to China? Like, hoping no one, if there's a trail down there. Like, this is a boulder. Like, we're talking, this was taking out trees, small trees. And I remember I took a picture of the bark it ripped off of the tree that I could barely lift, because it's fir trees are full of sap. It's very heavy. So I propped against a tree, took a picture of it, and there was already rumors going back, Ramos, Indiana Jones, or whatever, got chased by a boulder. And my command officer said, what is this about you got chased by a little pebble, right? And I show him the picture of the tree it hit, and the bark. He's like, son of a... Because I laid my Pulaski next to it, which is 4 foot, to show reference of how big the piece of bark was. And it's like, holy shit. So, a little bit Indiana Jones. And just crazy fires, right? I remember fire. I went to, funny story. I went to, had a rookie with me, jumped a fire out in Crater Lake, beautiful area. And elks bugling, the full experience, right? The full jump experience. It's like, man, I gotta go take a leak. But I hear this elk bugle. I'm gonna go see where he's at. So for some reason, horrible reason, right? I don't know. I still kick myself in the butt today, right? Jumpers love to revel in our mistakes. As my ex-Army guy would say, and he'd say, I broke my nut kicking machine last night. So I remember going to go look for this elk, and I left my radio. I said, I'll just leave it right here. I'm just going to take a quick leak. And then I wanted to go farther, a little bit farther. And that side of the Crater Lake area is kind of like I wouldn't say rainforest, but very dense. Now I can't find my way back, right? Because I took a little bit of a stroll. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I have no radio. I have a rookie at the fire. And I can't find my way back, right? I'm reveling in my own stuff right now, kicking myself in the nuts. And I'm like, this is the worst.
Damn, man.
You stupid. I'm saying my name right. You stupid. I don't have my compass because I left my stuff. It was morning time, right? Didn't have my gear, didn't have my pack. And I went chasing this elk. And then I find the elk. Let me back up here. Find the elk. He sees me, does a bugle, and takes off running towards me, veers off. I'm surprised I didn't get shish kebabbed by this elk. Never do that again. Never in my life. And now I'm trying to get back to camp. Now this is 20 minutes go by, half hour goes by. Now it's over an hour. And I'm like, oh my God, all the things are going through my head. This rookie's going to freak out. He can't find me. He's going to call the base. They're going to send more jumpers. Oh my God, right? The worst nightmare in my career. And I said, okay, Jason, calm down. You know how to do some basic tracking. Figure it out, you dumbass, right? I'm talking to myself. Finally figured out. Get back to camp. And before that, I hear a Sherpa, which is a jump plane. They were going to another fire. I'm like, oh my God, they're coming to find me. I'm lost. The rookie's freaking out. Long story short, they were going somewhere else. Got back to the camp. The rookie was still, he didn't even know I was gone. It's like, oh, I thought you went somewhere, So anyways.
Oh my God.
Got back, never did that again. Never, ever. And I was taught that. But I went out, was searching for this elk. How am I going to get lost? I'm a smoke jumper. Anyways, found myself back, right? But just embarrassing. So never again, never, ever, never, ever leave your stuff. Ever, period. So, just little jump stuff,
great.
Funny stuff, I mean, I've jumped fires where I used to always jump with tunes, right? This is before satellite radio. I would jump with a little Grundig radio. And I remember we had for some reason we had a sat phone or something. So I called the radio station, right? We're in the middle of nowhere. And there was a bunch of lightning that came in, and there was jumpers on different fires all in this area. And I said, hey, man, called the radio station, told them who I was. I said, oh, my God, you're smoke jumpers. I said, yes, sir. I only got a few seconds, man. I don't want to lose reception. And I said, can you play like The Doors or something, Metallica, something? And shout out to NCSB or something. So this guy, right, I hang up the phone. And usually other jumpers would have the radios if they had a radio. And sure enough, I blast mine. I turn it up, and here's this guy that gives us a shout out and some AC/DC or whatever it was. And like, Ramos, did you just call someone? Like, hell yeah. So I was always the guy where if we go into town, I would call the local radio station, right? You got a bunch of savages that are single, right? Or whatever. Just have a good time. Where's the best restaurant? Some jumpers in town. Play some music. Play a shout out to this song or that song, The Doors, whatever. So I would do that quite a bit. So always just had a great time. And yeah, we can talk forever about different missions. And there's horrible ones like in my book, rescue missions of fatalities, the 30-mile fire, horrible stuff. You get called to a mission and you go, right? You do the best you can, learn from it, come back, and you'll pay for those, those little wounds later on. Right. In my book, I remember waking up and not knowing where I was at. And that was after a plane crash. And but had no idea. I was already, a seasoned firefighter, already seen some stuff. And, I was 19, 20, somewhere. No, 19, somewhere in there. And it's like, where am I? Right? No, I thought I pissed myself. Drenched in sweat. And I didn't find out later, years later, talking to my friend that was a PTSD doctor. she read my book and she said, "You want to talk about anything?" I said, "Yeah, I want to talk about me waking up, not knowing where I was at." And she went, we talked about it, and she said, "Well, how did it feel?" I said, "It felt like the movie Beetlejuice. It felt like I was in Beetlejuice." So, anyways, different stuff, bad, good. You learn about yourself, right? The brain does some pretty. It can take so much, and there's times it'll tell you, "Hey, that's enough." So that was a trip, and never happened again. But I asked her, "Man, I don't ever want to have that happen again," because back then I didn't even know what it was. There was no terminology of PTSD. There was, right, we're coming out of the Vietnam era. The guys I knew that were our pilots, no one said anything. There was no, it was tough up, kid, or like, So you
Right.
learn later on what those little things were and what they are and how your brain works. So yeah, pretty trippy. And I just remember that plane crash that it sucked because this was back when I was on a Helitack Crew, right? So that was a search and rescue. That was a fire rescue mission. Obviously, we heard the plane crash go down. Came over the radio. We could see it out in the horizon. We're in an Alouette 316 Bravo, which is my favorite helicopter to this day, and right, we're the loudest, baddest, holds altitude records, and just a kick-ass helicopter. And right, you can't go any faster. We got a headwind, and you're seeing it. You're like, people they're crashed. They went down. Mayday, right? We heard it, and we can't go any faster. And I remember telling the pilot, it's like, "Dude, can you do anything?" Right? We want to get there, and we get there, hook up the bucket, everything's. We get up to the fire, and I'll make it short on this one. I just remember seeing the hand and the claw marks.
No, please don't. Like,
Yeah,
I'm all about the details, man. If you're willing to drop the details, I'm willing to listen.
Yeah, so I remember seeing the claw marks from that passenger, and it's like, mother, right? We didn't make it. I remember one of the firefighters, right, going, "What is that smell?" Right? We talked about the story when I smelled, it's burned body smells like, burnt skin. And I remember I wanted to go and just punch that firefighter in the face because he was kind of making fun of the mission, and I wanted to drag him over to the plane crash and show him the fatalities. This is another engine or someone else, right? Because when you respond, you have different engines, different people, right? Different agencies.
Yeah.
And so that sucked, man. And I remember hearing the news later and the pilot getting out, and he got out and went and looked for help, but left the people in the plane. And I was just so pissed. It's like, why didn't you get him out of the plane? Right? If you got him out of the plane, it's still I don't care about any other injuries.
Yeah.
Get him out of the plane because they all burned to death. The 3 of them burned to death. So that was a horrible mission. And then that night, right, wake up and like, where am I? So the details, so to this day, I remember just the claw marks, and it's just horrible shit, right? And it's like, you get back to work, you do your after action reviews, all the acronyms, right, and stuff, and everyone seems to be fine. You go back to work, go to the next call. You keep going. So yeah, there's definitely some goods, some bads. I have great memories of the Helitack Crew. If someone said, "Hey, you want to be a jumper Helitack?" Man, that's a tough. Helitack had some great, because we were, right, truly initial attack, in and out, right, because we had pumpkin time, right? So as soon as that sun goes down, we get about half an hour.
What is pumpkin time?
Pumpkin time. So we had a flight. Okay. So our flight for the helicopters, we had no night vision, so we had to be back before that twilight, right? So we had a chart every day.
Yep.
In the morning, we'd say, "Hey, 2023 is pumpkin time today." So if we're on a fire, right, me and you, and it's like we're on a horrible fire, it's like we're gonna be out of here, right? Hot shot. Everyone else comes in and mops up. We do the initial attack, we do the glory stuff, and we're out of there. Helicopter comes, picks us up on top of a rock cliff, whatnot. We get on, we go back home, right? So it was an awesome job, man, because we get to come in, kick butt, and leave. There'd be shirts like, what is it? Like, we fight them, you mop them. There's always, rivalry between hotshot crews because we would get all the initial attack and we're out of there. And then people would say, you guys aren't tough enough. You can't stay the night anyway. So yeah, we're exactly it, man. We're a pumpkin. We got to go back. We're Cinderella. We got to go get our Cinderella shoe. We got to go back. So
yeah.
Helitack was some fun, hard missions, man. Because a lot of times you only had 2 folks. I remember cutting fire line, as we say, cutting line to China, cutting line east. And I remember getting to a top of fire. We were cutting for hours and hours and hours, and the helicopter was picking up out of cesspools, and right, you're covered in stink. It's just disgusting, man. It's like, what? So I remember getting up to the top, and there was a crew up there, and they're like, Oh man, you guys are kicking ass. Awesome fire line. Where's the rest of you? Like, you're looking at it. Like, what? So we're Helitack 523. You guys did all that line by yourself? Yes, sir. Anything else? Right? Once we're done, calling our rotor, come pick us up. We're out of there. So pretty extreme. That was some of the best. I mean, jumping again, extreme stuff. But the helicopter, the crew, because jump is different, right? You're kind of seeing a resource. You're with the crew, but you're not. Helitack, you're a crew, right? There's 12 of you, 6 of you, whatnot, but you can be with your partner. It was just hardcore. It was more of a, right? You ate dinner, you partied together, you slept together more. So you miss that part. And when you come to jumpers, kind of a single resource, right? You still got a buddy, but we're not called the crew. We're called Smokejumpers. We're not, we could send you 2 jumpers, 4 jumpers. We don't need to send you the full crew. Like, we're self-sufficient. We're classified different as an unlimited firefighter. So yeah, crazy stories, man. There, some of the funniest, you get fires in Bigfoot country, right? You're scared to sleep at night. All the boogeymen come out, right? And I'd always sleep in a tree hammock.
So
right?
did you ever see Bigfoot? Did you ever see Bigfoot? That's all
No,
I
man.
need to know.
I was always hunting. I'm still this day hunting for that. I'm still hunting for him, man. And the guys would know. They'd bring me back Bigfoot shirts, and there would be stories, and yeah, just there was stuff we see out in the middle of nowhere that I couldn't explain. Like, they say they like to stack boulders. I've been out to a fire where a human can't do that. We're at a place, there's no trails, there's nothing. It's like, who stacked these boulders? Like, someone did a long time ago. Something did, because there's no other geographical thing that would do that, right? I have some basic knowledge, and it's like, well, that's weird. Okay, time to get the hell out of here.
Man.
It's just weird stuff, but most of it just, you'd see this and that, but nothing, but you'd always hear stuff at night checking you out, whether it's a mouse, right? But it sure sounds like a mountain lion to me, or a cougar. But I remember times of being on fire and saying, hey, will you guys messing with me? Because I'd never go back to the jump spot. I always stay near the fire in a tree hammock. And say, will you guys messing with me? Like, something big was breaking, like, it wasn't a deer. And I couldn't get any reflection off the eyes, but I could hear it, like, circling my camp. I could never get any eyeballs. What is it? So that night, I didn't sleep. I stayed up all night. It's like, I don't know what it was. I went the next morning to try to see what it was, and it's like, that wasn't a mouse. It wasn't a raccoon. It wasn't a squirrel, right? It's like, it wasn't a bobcat. It's like, what is... So yeah, just funny stuff, man. I remember being on top of with another jumper, and same thing. We're sitting on this little peak, and we hear something big. And we'd call on the radio, hey, any jumpers down below us? Negative. Okay, you probably don't want to go that way. Why? Well, there's something big breaking some pretty big sticks, right? And we're trying to see this thing, right? And I usually jump with night vision or stuff or thermal. I can't see anything. What? It's like, what is that? It's got to be an elk. It's got to be a bear. But there's some of these stuff, you never know what it is. Usually if it's an elk, you can see it. Like, again, I go track it and you find it. But there's some stuff you can never find what that was. So it's just always interesting. So that's, it was a great time.
Bigfoot, definitely.
Yeah, right. And I'm still, like I said, man, I always email these guys, hey, man, I'm a drone. I can teach you guys to just launch a drone, man. Just launch the drone. If you think there's something in front of you, heat signatures, it's a truth machine. He's not cloaked. Or maybe he is. Maybe he's, right? He's jumping in Doctor Who's TARDIS and he just jumped out in front of you. I don't know. But again, we're always... Yeah, funny stuff. My brain can go, and we would always jump on fires, and I would tell guys, hey, man, look through my night vision. No, I don't want to see something. I don't want to see, man. I don't want to look through it. I'm going to see something. Because there was nights out there, right? No moon, the darkest of dark.
Yeah.
Just pitch black. And you hear stuff, and you're like, what is that? And then guys would tell ghost stories, right? Bigfoot stories at the fire. And one of the jumpers, I'll make this one short as I can, but long story short, he's on a mission.
No, please don't. No, don't do that to me. I love these. Well, I love it.
I won't do good as justice as him, but he was a jumper, and he was doing a single resource. Means he's attached to a hand crew, so they're on a fire, right? It's got 20 people or whatnot doing fire lines. So you have your saws up front, and you have all your diggers, all the hand tools in the back. And as a supervisor, right, he's the lead crew or the strike team or the crew lead or whatnot, whatever title he was. They're in the back, protecting your folks. And he hears bloody someone screaming. And usually that means someone got cut by a chainsaw. Your Sawyer's down, right? Which is bad. You can bleed out. You could die. This has happened. And he gets up to the front. What the fuck? Looking for blood, right? Doing his first responder stuff. It's like, what's going on? And this was a native crew. And he said he was talking in, right, their native tongue. And he doesn't understand. And this is a jumper that we trust, right? This is a bona fide jumper. And he's telling the Swamper. The Swamper's his partner. He's the guy that takes all, when the Sawyer cuts, the Swamper swamps, takes all the stuff cut and piles it, gets it out of the way so they make the fire line. And he's like, hey, man, what's going on? He finally, what's going on? They get him to safe. Now the whole operation stopped. No one's cutting. The whole operation has stopped. So he's trying to figure out what's going on. And then finally the guy says, big guy. Big guy. So what are you talking about, man? And Sasquatch, Bigfoot, Sasquatch. And he's like, what? He says, Bigfoot, Sasquatch came out, screamed at this guy, and took off running through the bushes. And during the Forest Service, there's a lot of stories of stuff like this. Some being really weird because folks hiking out miles at night of like big rocks being thrown at them. Forests I've been on, the chief has to get waken up. They got to get vehicles, come pick these people up. Like grown men, right? Grown human beings. Something scares them at night where they walk miles because something is messing with them. So they go back to fire camp, and now the division, right? This is a big thing. You get pulled off the fire line, divisions are up here. You know what? Things are happening, right? What's wrong?
Yeah.
Are we talking someone's doing something they shouldn't be? Like they had to send the guy home. Like he saw something. So this jumper would tell this on jump stories, on fires. And I remember he told us we were on a fire on the we call it the west side in Oregon, rainforest. And I remember that night, no one slept in their own area. Everyone was basically sleeping together, right? And it's just like you wake up, you take a leak, and you're closing your eyes because it's like, like Ramos, you hear the drums because the Bigfoot, meaning that they tap on trees. They say it's like, do you hear anything? And your brain goes crazy, right? It can go crazy. So it was pretty cool that night. He said, if this is a place where Bigfoot, this is it, because this is a place where all the food's at. There's no one for miles. So he still claims today that that's what happened. I don't know. It's like, was that a fake story, man? It's like, no, what are you talking about? So the forest I was on in California, they had something where there was big boulders thrown at them, and this whole they call it trails crew had to walk out. But again, were they doing something else? Did they sneak in some booze? I don't know. Enough for them to walk miles. And I knew some of these folks. They were professionals. So it's like, ooh, okay, that's weird. But I never seen anything, there was no rocks, man. If something was thrown at me, I was hoping just to meet a cool one, man. My dream was always, all the jumpers knew, I was like, man, I want to meet like a teenager, like a punk rock one or something. Someone cool. I don't want to meet I don't want, right, during mating season or something, right, where you guys like, I want the cool one, man. It could be a cool chick, It's like, I hope I find the nice one. So that was always my dream, my dream out there, right? And yeah, so story after stories of, because again, we jumped in very austere locations. Most of the time we'd catch our own food, right? Fish, grouse.
Wow.
We always ate well. Even if we ran out of food, right, there's huckleberries, there's thimbleberries, there's wild berries. Yeah, we're always eating pretty well, not too bad. So,
damn it! Do you guys go through some sort of a survival school or to learn all the plants in the local area that you guys are doing?
No, I wish they did.
Or
right, there's
hunting school, some sort of like
Yep.
a snare school or anything like that. Any type of training like that. We're gonna divert real quick to thank our sponsors.
Blue Drop Training and Simulation. Blue Drop Training and Simulation for equipping your team with essential training solutions, including highly interactive courseware and advanced VR MR simulation training tools. Explore more of Blue Drop's training solutions at bluedropts.com.
No, and I wish there was, right? Because in the military, you guys have SEER training and all that stuff, right? And we never had any of that.
So I didn't personally do it, but some of the guys did, yeah.
Yes, but we never in the fire service. they're all the people in it's handed down training, right? They're hunters, they're woodsmen, they're people that go fishing in Alaska on their time off. There's fishing in Hawaii and Baja. They hunt every season for elk, and they're trackers. They're trappers, right? We have a lot of trappers. So it was always handed down, and you would learn from everyone else. But I wish the fire service, the Forest Service, did have a class like, hey guys, we're going to show you how to clean a grouse if there's no food. We're going to show you what to eat and what not to eat. Because they taught me when I came to California, right? We didn't have thimbleberries. We didn't have blueberries. We didn't have all these things to eat. I didn't know. And then once I was taught, it's like, ooh, yeah, right. I'm going to feed my face. So it was handed down in the jump program. There was classes that they taught quite a bit. You know, there was guys always that were fly fishermen, and I was already free diving to Mexico, so I know how to fish somewhat, right? I know how to make a spear and certain things, but there was never a class that we went to. Maybe there is up in Alaska, but not in the jump program, because everyone is basically pretty good outdoor. You know, there's surfers. Everyone is something. Like, there's never just like, oh, I've never been camping in my life, because remember, they got to go through all this crap before they even get to the fire to us.
Yep.
So they're already proficient in being in the woods, and some better than most. But I learned a lot in the jumping of what's good to eat, what's not. Like little wild onions you can dig up. The list just goes on and on, like what to eat. So if I jump near huckleberries when I see them, yeah, you go harvest a bunch and then get to work.
Nice. Man, that is pretty badass, dude. I like that. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Sweet. Jason, I have loved these stories. This is amazing. You keep going. Again, I'm engrossed. I'm in for the long run, because we've been on for almost 2 hours now, and I've loved every bit of this. So
you got it, man.
Whatever stories you've got, I'm in.
Yeah, if you prompt me, I mean, we can talk about it. Again, I had a pretty good career, right? So I started off in structural wildland, and then I went to BLM, a Unimog, which is another great experience. So he's in my book, Old Kahuna. And just he was an ex-buckaroo. People can go look that up, right? A real cowboy. We're talking the real deal. And he was a windsurfer, right? Taught me how to windsurf in Mexico, taught me how to do things that I never understood. And just a freak, and just a badass dude, right? The guy could cook, he lived in a van, he windsurfed, he can pull out a VW engine. I've watched him do it out in the middle of the desert, fix things, put it back in, get to another town. I mean, you just go, where did you know, I had friends with me say, where did you find this relic? I have no idea, man. You know, that's king. We call him the Old Kahuna. So, and the guy was hardcore, man. The guy would, hardcore. So, met all these great human beings, and you know, and then you get old, right? You're 17, snot-nosed kid, and then you get your 40s, and then you're like, oh shit, now I got to retire. So got in the search and rescue, doing that stuff now, and still doing other little things. I got to keep myself busy, because you know, if I sit down too much, my brain is like every single day I don't need to drink or do anything else. I'm high just normal. Like, I'm high as a kite right now. And I remember in high school, like, you know,
I love it.
Yeah, guys in high school, like, you know, want to do this. You say, no, I'm high as a kite right now. It's like, what are you using? Nothing. I'm high as a kite right now. Like, what do you mean? I said, dude, I'm just high. Like, right now. I don't know why.
Just high.
I am.
Let's
go skate. Let's go do this. Let's go do that. So, anyways, right, I get some lulls in there. Always, again, you know, enthusiast in motorsports, all these different things, but the fire career definitely shaped who I am. And I still try to give back to all those folks that helped make me. And, you know, again, not everyone out there loves me. I get it. But I was taught, you know, switch gears. You don't have to love someone, that true love-hate relationship. I've chased people out of the plane, cussing at them, and I felt bad. You know, it's like, well, why did I do that? Like, really? You learn to get along with folks, and sometimes where you can't, it's hard, right? And try to learn, like, how can we still complete this mission, right? Even though we hate each other right now, how can we get beyond? And sometimes you can't, right? Sometimes you might have to, right, go by the jungle gym, as I call it. I've had it to going back a good story here about leadership. I remember when I was a squad driver. So Riverside County, I was a squad operator. So I had usually 3 guys with me, EMTs. We were the toolbox. We had the spreaders, the cutters. We had all the extra air, SCBAs, all this. We were like the mini truck, right? The truck has all the tools. We're the mini. We're fast. We're light. And I remember we had a cutter, and we had to go in a bad TC traffic collision, and the steering column was stuck to this guy's part of his body, and I remember we showed up on scene, and as I'm getting there, right, I have my cab man, he's talking to me, I'm talking to him, telling my guys what to do, because I can hear it over the radio. I said, you guys, again, we go through this, your scope of training, you only do our stuff, right? Give them a brief before we get on scene. Get on scene, and one of my briefs, like, do not let the truck come and grab our tools, period, right? So we get there, the truck's gears is a Tango for some reason, I don't know why. So they come try to take ours. I'm already doing something else, so they come to my new firefighter, pretty much order him to, give him the tools. The guy pressurizes the pump, which is about 10,000 something PSI of mineral oil. Now there's mineral oil everywhere. Now now our unit is Tango. So now there's no cutters. They have to get another unit to come in, right? So everything's done. We get the patient out, do everything. So now we're doing our after action review. And the truck captain's taking lead. He's doing the stuff because he's the truck captain. It gets to me, the squad driver. And I said, sir, please, take this for a grain of salt, but I can't remember exactly verbatim what I said, but I said, your guys came in, they're not training our tools, and you made an incident within an incident. You had mineral oil everywhere. You've blown our unit. People are falling now. You got people literally falling. Look like a Abbott and Costello movie. And because your firefighter went out of his scope and thought he knew everything and screwed everything up. Basically in the nice way. And I said, if this was on the street, I'd say me and you're gonna go behind the jungle gym and we're gonna solve our issues right now. And this is the problem. You truck guys come in, think you own the scenario or the scene here, and you screwed it up. I'm sorry. I don't want to be out of line, Captain. Yeah, I said something like that. And still to this day, my LA City firefighter says, Jay, you remember that time when you told that guy that you're going to take him behind the jungle gyms? And dude, I about lost my shit. And I had to be at attention. I about lost my shit. And I said, I said that? He says, oh yeah, you said that in a very professional way. And it just, right. So now we go back to the station. We're down. So now I have a line that's pressurized. We have to call the manufacturer. They tell us all the tricks because we have all this pressure that's charged because they're dry brakes. Once you pressurize and you do it wrong, you didn't release the pressure. I can't use my lines. I can't go cut someone's car because this guy did it wrong. Right. So,
wow,
all these little things, and those guys are successful. He's still LA City. The other guy, he went to an ambulance company, medics. It was cool to help some of these guys train. And I just try to take that piece now and mentor other people. Again, I'm not perfect. I know I'm not perfect. I got a ton of faults. I know that. So it's always,
me too.
My book came out. You really find out who your friends are. That was the bummer part. You think, jumpers like to call each other bros. I hated it. I never say bro. I say dude. My dude. If it's my RB, I'll say RB. Guys love to high five. I hated high fives. I don't do high fives. I grew up from LA County, man. You do a low five. Yeah, so everyone's different, right? I said,
that's fine.
Yeah. So again, I do both, right? And I said, hey man, I'm a low five guy, right? Because they never knew about the fawns, and some of these guys are like, what's the fawns? Right? It's like, you don't know Happy Days?
Oh,
so
fawns. Oh,
yeah, so it's funny. So most bases, right? I remember it's like, guys be high five, and it's like, no, I'm a low five guy. I would tease them. I said, hey man, let's switch it up. So when my book came out, right, there was guys that you thought they're your brothers, right? And you hear smack talk and this and that. The Forest Service, I'll say it, tried to terminate my position for writing that book. And I was able to win.
Too bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I went through about 4 or 5 years somewhere in there. Had great lawyers. And guess what? We won. So all those leaderships out there that tried to say I did something wrong, I didn't, and I proved it. I didn't do anything wrong at all. I wrote a book. So, and without all that being precise, right, I can tell you dates, times where I was standing. I would take notes from phone calls because I got permission from the Forest Service. And I was able to pull that up every single time they said I did something wrong. I said, nope, I'll give you the day, what I was wearing, what I ate, where I was sitting. So it helped me win this issue with the government, the Forest Service. So turned out to be still one, I think, the best-selling books on Amazon, and we're doing this, we're doing that, but it helped me just keep moving forward for different projects, whether it's R&D and all these different things. And again, I'm just trying to, as my dad would say, son, leave your mark. I don't care what it is. Just leave your mark on something. Like, if you want to be the best McDonald's fry maker, kick ass. Like, do it.
Be the best.
I'll support you. So I'd always joke when in the fire, says, hey, man, I'm going to go work at McDonald's. When they make more than us. They make more than us. I'm going to go make some awesome fries. So it'd always be a standing joke with me. Still this day, I'll take pictures of, because every McDonald's you go to, they might say they're hiring. They'll give the, $15, $16. I'll take a snapshot and send it to one of my old guys. And in my book, you hear my supervisor, he would say, hey, guy. He would feed us McDonald's. We never got to go to restaurants, and he would call it quick and dirty. So if we get on a fire and we're traveling to another state, say, hey guys, there's a McDonald's coming up, quick and dirty. And the rule is he was last in line. So we had a crew of 8 or 12, whatever we had that day, 6, 5, whatever. He's last. Yeah. And when he's done eating, you better be done eating. Period. So he was a very fast eater.
Okay.
Right? You learn this very quick. So you're like, oh, I'm going to get a Big Mac or this or that or do this. And he'll be done. And he's walking out. And if you're not behind him, you're going to pay for it in some way. I'm sure it's going to be pain management, whether it's hiking, push-ups, sit-ups. I don't care. You learn very quickly. So I would order my stuff and I get everything to go and go back to the vehicles, right? Because again, he's teaching us time is money. We have things to do. We can't be hanging out. We got to get to the next mission or be available. We got to go here. And if we keep stopping, nothing gets done. So little pieces from the book, quick and dirty. So we still laugh about it to this day. I'll call him. He's still alive. And, I remember when I talked to him not too long ago, his kids read the book. And he says, hey, Ramos, I should sue you, man. He's got a little bit of an accent. And I said, what are you talking about? He says, I never did that stuff to you, guy. I said, easy. I started laughing. I said, really? So anyways, it's just a standing joke. But yeah, it was pretty, he'd always tell me, Ramos, I'll call your dad. Your dad has given me permission to deal with you. So, and I know what that meant. So I never crossed the lines, man, because it's like, oh shit, he talked to my dad? And he says, Mr. Ramos, yes, your dad has given me permission to do whatever I need to do to get you out of your stuff. Yes, sir. So.
It's awesome.
Yeah, so that part, I mean, you just got a problem, man, where you want to go with all this stuff, because again.
Oh, good. Well, I'm curious, do you remember your very last jump? We're going to divert real quick to thank our sponsors.
Anodyne Electronics Manufacturing, a leading manufacturer of trusted special mission avionics for law enforcement, aerial firefighting, and utility operators. Visit www.aem-corp.com and learn how AEM's digital communication and loudspeaker systems, avionics consoles, radios, and specialty audio products can support your most demanding missions.
Oh, yeah. Yep. So,
what was that?
I had whooping cough. I jumped a fire on my book 242 and was jumper in charge. So that means first jump out of the plane. That means you're the incident commander. Had a load. Actually had only single stick. A stick. That means me and another jumper. This fire was going. It got bigger. Ordered more jumpers. And around the second or third day, just kept coughing. This weird cough I've never experienced. I'm like, what's up with this? Just kept coughing. Dry cough, just kept coughing. By that time, we're on day 4 or 5. Now we have more jumpers, more people. I told the dispatch, hey, this fire is going to burn till the snow flies. What is your wishes? Because it was early in the season, and they didn't think that. They thought I was, I guess, giving wrong intel. Because these aren't jumpers. My intel's going to another district office or whoever's the incident commander, 40 miles away or whatnot. So, and we had a reburn, meaning the fire burned over again, just like it's happened kind of in Storm King, but different. That means the understory burnt. Fire comes through again, gets in the canopies, and gets bigger. Reburn. And I knew this. I was seeing all the things, and the jumpers, I got sat phone, was talking to Calm to the jump base, said, hey man, this fire is going to get big. I need the world or not. So now we have lead attack planes coming, lead planes coming. These are the planes that help the other planes that drop retardant for us. And, where the retardant is, helicopters, they're in charge of the air ops in the air, right? They're our Overwatch, basically. So I remember talking to the lead plane, said, sir, can you confirm, we got to go and fire, right? We're talking, right? He says, yeah, you get a little bit of an issue, you get a little bit of some work down there for you. So things are happening every day, something. And this whole time I'm coughing, right? I'm like, what is going on here? Like, what's going on here? And finally, one of the, now we have resource management people in, we have all these different people. Now it's right? We call it not a party, but there's a lot of people there, right? Shop crews and all this stuff. And she's like, Jason, I might be whooping cough. I said, well, that's highly contagious. No one else is. So finally I get relieved because now once a fire gets to a certain size, right? I was an incident commander type 4, fire, more people, more planes, really getting big now, or getting bigger, right? The more people, complexity, the incident man comes up. I was not an incident commander 3 yet. And so I requested one. So I get relieved of duty, and he takes over, and he's an incident commander. So I get back to the base and go to the I'm coughing more and more. Finally, go to the doctors and like, yeah, you definitely got something, and it lasted for months. Like we're talking coughing so bad it's on my hands and knees. I've had kidney stones twice. We're talking horrible, and now I know why it's called whooping cough.
Yeah.
Right? So that goes away. And I'm pretty much on light duty for months. Like I would just start coughing. I'd go down on my knees. Like I couldn't breathe. I would learn. And then, so long story short, people can Google it, do whatever you want with it. Finally get cleared from the doctors, get back on the plane. We have a fire up near Canada, and we get on station, full load of 8 jumpers on the plane. And it's a shitty area. We call it punji sticks, right? Bunch of dead snags, punji sticks. And it's like, I'm stick number 2. So you have a jumper in front of me, his partner, and then I'm the first jumper, the next stick. And excuse me, I was number 2. So jumper in charge, I'm his partner. And we decided to do single stick, meaning one jumper at a time because it's a tight area. So they throw the streamers out, they pick the jump spot, they look at us, we get a thumbs up. It's tight. And there's a couple of jumpers that seem to be a little bit, and I said, this is what we've trained for. And it's like, thumbs up, let's go, let's get this done. And the first jumper jumps out, doesn't make the jump spot. I'm like, oh, he's a good jumper. Like, he doesn't miss jump spots. And I'm like, right in my brain, like, what am I doing here? Right? Why am I on this plane again? Spotter looks at me, right? And, right, we need to be mentally coherent, right? Again, the washout program. If these guys are freaking out, they don't come on the plane, right? There's reason where. So he gives me eyes, right? Like I'm looking at you, thumbs up. He knows I'm coherent. I'm not in the Wonderland. You know all this stuff. And get in the door. He gives me the briefing, and I'm like, yes, it's windy. It's just a shitty jump spot. Like one of my shittiest in my career. And other guys would agree with me. They still talk about it. Like, remember that your last jump, dude? That was a good one to go out on. So I jump, get out, and canopy opens. I'm like, mother effing, right? A lot of wind, a lot of down air. And I'm like, you son of a bitch. Right? And you're doing what you got 60 seconds, give or take, right? And I'm like, I'm focused, right? I'm like, I need to nail this spot. I do not want to get a punchy stick up my you-know-what, or burn out of a tree. If you hit a snag, you could burn out and then draw or fall 50 feet, 20 feet, whatever. You get hurt. And
yeah.
And I remember going downwind. I'm like, okay, man, I got to time this right. Turn final. Like there is no secondaries. If it was just green trees, it's great. Jump in the trees. But when you got so many snags, your options go down. So we get out there. I land, center punch it, and it's like, all right, take off my gear. I'm like, yes, right? Next jumper goes out, doesn't make the jump spot. Another jumper comes out, last, it was a four jumpers. He center punches it too, but center punches snag. And it's like the cartoons. He hits it and pieces go everywhere. And the sound, he's a big boy. And I said, you okay? He's like, yeah, I think so, kind of thing. Gets down and he's like, whoo, I might have gave him a high five, but I know I gave him a low five. Maybe I gave him a high five and a low five. And so I had to film that fire real quick. It's a small lightning fire. It wasn't going anywhere. I filmed it. I still have the footage of it. Very tight. And the next day, so I'm the nav guy. I was always good at that. Jumper in charge. His Ramos, you got the fire? I said, yeah. Piece of cake, man. You ready to go? So I have 2 jumpers at the jump spot. They're doing their stuff, cutting the trees down, getting parachutes out of trees, getting the cargo out of the trees. And we get to the fire, and we're good navigators. We are. We practice, right? Practice makes you better. So got there, do the fire. Got some funny videos of, we're cooking, beanie weenies, that kind of stuff, and just funny stuff we do. Put the fire out, and that next morning, right, we go back to the jump spot. I slip and just catch myself, and I feel something pop in my back. It's like, oh, that's interesting. Get to the campfire, and I'm like, wow, something's bugging. What was that? About an hour goes by. My right leg it's kind of tingly. It's getting hot. It's feeling like I got bit by red ants. Like all these little things are starting to happen. And I'm like, ooh, something's wrong. Okay. So helicopter's coming in, getting our gear out. And now I'm laying on the floor, and my jumper charge said, what's wrong? I said, dude, something's wrong. He's like, what are you talking about? Because jumpers, like, we don't, right? If I'm on the ground, something's wrong. And he's like, no, serious, what's wrong? I said, dude, something's up, dude. Like, I can't feel my leg right now, kind of. Like, something's wrong. So, I don't know what's wrong. Something's weird. My pulse is a little bit weird. Like, something's wrong. He's like, well, can you hook the helicopter? I said, yeah. Because I'm the helicopter guy. Right? We're all cross-trained. But but I'm...
Okay.
Go hook the load. Helicopter takes off. Come back. I said, dude, something's wrong, man. Like, I'm not... something's fucked up, right? Again, I had kidney stones, and that's a whole different world. So, I'm like, I don't really feel my leg now. Something's, I got to pinch something, but it's serious. Like, it's like, well, man, do I tie some P cord to my leg? I can make like a little thing to hike up this hill, right? Because we're going to get picked up. And he's like, you want a medevac? We don't like saying that. I'm like, oh, fuck, because we know we're not going to, like, where's it coming from? And it's going to be hours, even if we get one. And I don't want a short haul, right? Helicopters, I've been on helicopters. I've been there. I have a career with helicopters. It's like, this is out of ground spot. No, negative. I'll walk till we get to a better spot. And so we start walking. We start demobbing off this fire. And he's fast. I said, hey, dude, you have to go because there's no way I'm stopping every 20 feet, 30 feet, whatever. And I remember stopping halfway up this hill. Going uphill is helping a little bit. The pain is not as bad as like kidney stones. I go to sit down, and then that's all I remember. I remember waking up with like pine needles all over my face. And I hear the jumper up above me yelling my name. So I get up, and I was like, oh, man, I'm hurt. I said, God, should I passed out for a second or something? Like something happened. So I get up to the jumper. He comes down because now he's worried about me because I'm not answering my radio. And he says, what happened? I said, dude, I passed out, I think. Well, why didn't you answer me? Dude, I think I passed out. Well, why didn't you fucking answer me? Did you hear what I just said? He's like, you mean really you passed out? I said, I guess, because I woke up with pine needles look at my face. He's like, dude, what's going on? I said, dude, I don't know. I got I'm not bleeding out, but something's wrong, man. Like, I don't know what this is. Anyways, another hour and a half, get to the helicopter. And I'm like, dude, if I get it, like, I'm freaked out, something's going to happen. So I just get in the helicopter, kind of stretch my leg out. We get to the base. Called my girlfriend at the time. I said, hey, I'm hurt. I don't know. Like, something's wrong. She's like, what? Like, 'cause we don't do that, right? Even when I had kidney stones, like, keep going to work. She's like, what? It's like, I think I'm hurt. I'm hurt. Something's wrong. So she comes and gets me some food. And anyways, week goes by. One of the PJs comes and, hey, dude, Ramos, you're screwed up. It's like, what do you mean? Something's wrong with you. You need to go get it. You need to go to the doctors, get an MRI. Something's wrong. Like, now I'm telling you, right? It's like, okay, dude, I trust you. Make the appointment, because jumpers don't like to go to the doctors, right? We don't want to be pulled up the list. We want to do anything. So go to the doctors. They do the MRI. And during even that time, they're like, you blew out some stuff here, sir. Because my, girlfriend was there looking at the scan. She let them look. They found out who, jumper. They're cool, right? Little town.
Yeah.
And we get expedited right to see the specialist. And he walks in and, Mr. Ramos, what do you do for a living? Are you in pain right now? I said, well, sir, define pain. I said, I've had kidney stones, so what are we talking here? And he started laughing a little bit, and he pulls up my pictures of my back. He says, see all this? Like around, this is not supposed to be there. Like you blew out, looks like L4 and L5.
Oh.
I can't remember the numbers. He says, are you in like serious pain? I said, no. Again, doctor, define pain. Kidney, yes, I hurt. But can I go to work? Yeah, I try and do. So anyways, I herniated, I think it was L4 and L5. She knows by heart, but I jacked up my back, flew up my back, completed the mission. That was my last jump.
Oh my gosh.
So basically went through all the doctors, I had 2 specialists, had like 4 or 5 MRIs. It got better and then it got worse. Went through all the therapy, went through all the, just year after year, right? I just couldn't get better. It's like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Started swimming, started getting a little bit better. And then finally the doctor says, Mr. Ramos, we can do surgery, but I don't want to mess it up because it could get worse. Like you're about 80%. So we had 2 specialists conflicting. The government got involved. No one knew what to do. And I said, forget it. Like, just leave me alone for now. So I retired at basically light duty, got to stay at the base, did a bunch of work, R&D. Obviously still was a jumper, just not jumping out of a plane. Got to do some other assignments here and there, training and just stuff, right? Useful. I can still clean it. I can still clean a head like I'm proud of cleaning heads, right? You got to sit on it too, right? Clean it I tell people, you got to sit on it too, clean it, man. So I'm proud of cleaning a head. I have no problem going there and cleaning a head. So, would do all that stuff. And that was my last jump. And during that period, I had some spasms, which is definitely worse than kidney stones. That is no joke. Back spasms. I'm talking, if you got a bladder, you're going to piss yourself. If you got a full bladder and you get a back spasm, you're pissing yourself.
Dang.
So anyways, I remember having that, and small town. I remember calling the pharmacist, like, dude, I need meds now. Like something is wrong. So when he went to the doctor, they figured it out, and because I hate taking medication, and figured out stretching and all these things. So now I'm back to 80% and retired, at least from that piece of my life, the fire service, and doing other things. But that was my last jump. So very memorable, every piece of that fire. And I'm glad I took a little video of it, before I was hurt, and how tight the jump spot was. And still now the commanding officer, he said, you remember your jump, man? You remember your last jumps? Yeah, I remember my last jump, that shithole that you threw me into. So, and there was some stuff. There were some jumpers that thought that, should we have called that off? Yeah, we can call off every jump, but and then what are we? Right? Yeah, there's some suck factor.
Yeah.
But yeah, we did the jump, and it was cool to be out Bigfoot country. Didn't see him, and that was my last jump. Yeah.
Right on. All right, I've got 2 more questions for you.
Sure.
Right now, I'm going to fast forward a little bit because you had an amazing career as a firefighter, 10 years there, and then another 14 years as a smoke jumper. Freaking badass, dude. That's awesome. And currently, you're working with a search and rescue agency up in Washington State. So
yeah,
have you been called out to help out with any of that, or?
Yeah, so I wear multiple hats now. So I'm doing national stuff. I'm still a gypsy, still live in different states, back and forth. I have a home, but I'm all over the place still. So I'm a lead pilot for Washington State County up here, but I do California stuff still as a technical drone advisor. So training all that, since my background is aviation, helicopter stuff. I'm a fast team representative volunteer.
Nice.
I'm sure you know what that is. Under the FAA, we're the volunteers, right? That safer skies through education, right? So I started that last year with the FAA, which is cool. Again, non-authority, we're just volunteers, but all my background aviation, right? All the stuff I've done I spent over 20 years on helicopters and fixed wings, jumping out of them. I've seen them crash. I've had folks crash. I've had ship lights, you name it, right? Bad stuff, aviation. So I was flying a radio controlled. I got into around like 2005. Actually, our Smokejumper captain taught me how to fly RC planes and that. So I got into that. And he's like, Jason, someday you might make money at this stuff. And then drones hit about 10 years ago, right? A little over 10 years ago, not that long. Drones is just a fancy word. It's multi-rotors. That's the correct name. Drones doesn't mean anything. So got into that and basically have a lot of hours flying stall aircraft, RC, large scale, small scale, duck fan jets. Not as proficient at helicopters because they're pretty hard now. They're better with all the gyros, but I'm proficient. You give me a controller and I'm going to fly it because that's what I do as a hobby. So now I turn it into some revenue income, but now it's professional. I hold the FAA Part 107, so I'm an official by the FAA. I'm a small unmanned aircraft pilot, right? I have a license just like any other pilot.
Right on.
And I got to follow all the same rules because it's not a toy. If I do something wrong, NTSB comes in, it's an aircraft. Doesn't matter if I'm sitting in it or not. It's an aircraft. So I'm doing that. So I'm wearing multiple hats for that. Trying to get people to understand all the training because it is, I tell people if you don't like flight, you're not going to be a good pilot, period. That's it. It's like making a canine operator, but he hates dogs. It's like, right? So, that's a huge challenge. Yeah. So it's a huge challenge for me to find pilots because what happens, these guys want to get their license. They want to get this, they'll pass at a low score, whatnot. It's like, no. Would you want to go to a mission with a person in the 90s or a person in the 70s? Doesn't mean that person's bad. Like if they got up to the 90s, but who would you want? We want the best of the best here. I'm horrible at tests. If I get a 70, I'm going to get a 90 next time. That means I didn't do my job. So that's the hard part so that's my challenge now is to get pilots trained up as best they can. I try to fly almost daily, no matter where I'm at, California, Death Valley, Montana, New Mexico, Arizona, Oregon, the states keep going, New Jersey. So I try to fly as much as I can to keep proficient because we found out, even with, for all the listeners out there, go read The Art of Clear Thinking. That's Hazard Lee. He's an F-35 pilot. The book just come out last year. Was on his podcast many moons ago. And I picked these pilots' brains that I know that become friends with. It's like, hey man, I need to be the best of the best. If I don't fly for a month, I'm horrible. And then we went 3 weeks, horrible. 2 weeks, okay. A week, okay. If you fly every 2 or 3 days, you're proficient. And we're talking about on the stick. Right on. If it's me getting close to a patient to see if they're right, what's their respirations, telling a medic, he's looking, I have to be good. If I'm horrible on the stick, I can't do my job. And this is where it now relates to what you do, right? If you're hanging from something and that pilot's horrible on the cyclic or whatnot, right? It's right. You're gonna get a bumpy ride. So that is something I take so dang serious. And we've been able to prove, and we're so close. We've come up with some SOPs, some standard ops for the last year. I'm like, man, when I get on a mission, I'm just flying around. I don't know what the heck I'm doing. Like, I know I'm flying, but what am I doing? Got to have some SOPs, but no one has any. It's so new. So I call it the pizza slice, right? I find an anchor point, meaning a start point.
Yeah.
My camera goes down in 90 degrees. I come up to horizon no matter where I'm at. There's some other tools in there that I need to do. I got some artificial intelligence. We have proved, we've been doing it for 6 months. We've been able to beat good canine teams on scenarios. I've been able to track even on missions.
Wow. Good for you guys.
Like it works. And some of the experts in the world, so guys that are working with NIST, some of my other fast team reps, I'm not going to argue with it. It works. We're going to keep getting better. And a year from now, I won't even be doing that anymore because the artificial intelligence will be so good. I can just put in, we're looking for a 6'2" person. He was last seen with a red jacket and Nikes, and the software will find it because there's stuff like that almost now.
Wow.
So we're doing some pretty cool stuff. So my vehicles are decked out, and no matter where I'm at, New Jersey or California, we can show up on scene. I can give that incident commander my full 8 hours. So I have fast chargers. Most drone pilots will show up on scene. We call it shoot their load. They'll fly 2 batteries, and now they're down for 4 because it takes about an hour and a half to charge each battery, or almost 2 hours, depending on the battery. So when I show up
Yeah.
with my batteries and how I have it, I fly every hour and a half, take a quick break, fly every hour and a half, take a quick break. I can do that up to my full 8 hours on the FA. Or I can have a second pilot there.
Wow.
So,
Nice.
because on missions, we would show up on drown victims, and it's like, we're looking for someone. And a drone operator would come, fly for a couple minutes, and then now we're screwed. It's like, wait a second. It's like, oh, so I'd call the engineers, talk to all these people, and it's like, man, I gotta have, what's the sweet spot? So the sweet spot's around 6 batteries. So what that 6 batteries is, that gives me 3 hours of flight time. The batteries is so important on a
I
mission
got you.
that it's like a helicopter showing up with 20 minutes of flight time and you're on a full mission. It's like, no, I need to have the right amount of fuel. So 6 batteries on certain drones is the right amount of fuel. When you stagger them, you can fly for the full 8 hours with the fast charging system. So you can be in the air, because I had missions where officers are now in trouble. I can't land. I can't say, oh, man, I have no more batteries. You have me in 3 hours from now. I got to stay in the air. I got to support these officers. So through my years
Nice.
of
Very nice.
design, concept, all these experts that help me, I can get on the phone and call some of the best CEOs of the biggest companies I'm friends with and say, hey, man, I need this. And they know it's something important, so they'll design it for me. So I got gear like one of a kind, and then it goes into market that they'll sell it now to civilian market. So it's pretty cool to have that tool chest to call someone, text someone, my CEO buddy or whatnot, say, hey, man, I need this. It's like, what do you need? So that's what makes that flight operations successful, because, again, when they call us, they need us. So that's the SAR part.
Man, that's freaking cool, man. Good for you, Jason. I'm stoked for you, bro. That's great.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, and
All right.
and get to talk to guys like you. You know, a later day in time, I want to pick your brains for certain things, because we're narrowing down some. We're starting to split atoms on search and rescue, so that's another conversation. But yeah, so that's what I'm
Let's
doing
go.
now.
I'll be up.
Yeah, we'll have to make an encore, because actually I got
I like it.
a few minutes left, but the battery on the computer's going down, but it's not in red yet, so we have a few more minutes, and we'll probably have to call it at some point, because it's showing me, hey, in a little bit you're gonna have to charge up.
All right. In that case, let me drop my last question to you. All
Sure.
right. And that is, so you've been doing this again a long time, 10 years in the fire service, 14 years as a smoke jumper, and now doing your drone and stuff. Out of all of that and everything you've experienced and everything you've done, what advice would you pass on to everybody else?
Man, that is such a $1 billion, trillion-dollar question, right? I'm always
Right. And the greatest part about it is I love to leave it as vague as possible, because you can fill in the blank with whatever you want.
Yep.
So let it ride.
So I always revert back to my dad, and one of the key points he's always taught me, and it deals with everything, right? CRM, flight, all the acronyms, anything in life. And it's one word: listen, right? Listen to your mentors, listen to your
Nice.
parents, listen to that bird that's trying to tell you something, listen to the coyote, how he's hunting, how you're watching him, listen to how the fish are reacting at 50 feet. Listen, everything, listen. Just pay attention and listen, right? Even back when I was a jumper, so all I got to do is listen. And my dad would always remind me that, said, son, you're not listening. And that's what makes a domino effect. When you don't listen, you get in trouble by me, you get in trouble by the law, you get in trouble by your mom, you get in trouble by your future girlfriend, wife, warden, whatever. Just listen. Communication, right? Communication and listening. And that's one of the biggest things I still do to this day. I'm not a pro at it, right? When you're maybe having a, how do you say, a good debate, or now it's turned into somewhat argumentative with another SAR member, right? How do you diffuse that to complete that mission, right? How do you turn this around, right? A lot of people say manipulation's bad. I had an old logistics, one of the top in the fire service. They'd call him in. He'd fix things. He was the fixer. He said, Jason, manipulation's not bad. It's like when you want to manipulate something like a piece of clay or something you're trying to manipulate to fit in a part, that's not bad. It's not. You might have to do some tweaks when you meet someone. You're going to have to, lay down and not be the alpha male. Fix the mission. So I got to watch this guy for 14 days. Watch him do things I didn't understand. I understand later. And he left it with people hugging him, and it was all genuine. It was none of this fake things, right? So,
Yeah.
and he'd always say, He'd
Yeah.
call me Jace. He said, Jace, you got to listen. You got to listen. So he kept me on this fire, basically. There was fires going crazy. I was there because I was hurt. So I was operations and helping him with logistics. Another jumper came in and said, no, you got Ramos. Keep this dude. Like, keep him as long as you can. But we only do 14-day assignments. So I said, Ramos, you have a problem staying with me? He said, no, sir. What do you need? So we were doing all this crazy stuff, right? I need sat phones. I need this. I need that. It all boils down to listen. So anyone else out there, again, I have some great friends, man. I've met some top military folks. I've met Medal of Honor recipients, colonels, and guys like you, Jason. I've met movie stars. I've met guys with my dad. I've met people that are down and out that are living on the side of a sidewalk. I know what it's like to be cold and hungry. I know it sucks. I hate it. So, right, it's like anyone out there, just listen, be kind to people, and you can be hard ass. You can be a savage when you want. But that's something every day I deal with those demons. It's like, as my dad would say, son, you can't be a savage. And I'm not throwing stuff around. It's just, I can't do savage things, right? Everything's not a mission. I can't, come to a place with my friends and, right, they're not firefighters. Hey, this is a mission. We got to do it this way, right? They'll freak out. So, anyways, that's sorry for taking it so long, and that's kind of my thing. Listen, that's the Pee Wee Herman. If any Pee Wee Herman fans, right, the word of the day when everyone screams and you say the word. So when you hit listen, everyone just starts screaming. So.
Oh, it's perfect. It's perfect. Jason, this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me. I know I just took a ton of your time, but for me, it was totally worth it. I learned a whole bunch today, and it's exciting to see what you've done and where you're still going. And I love the piece of advice. Just listen. My dad says it to me all the time, so it's awesome.
Yeah, it's just an honor, man. Just thank you for all the listeners and all this stuff. Just thank you for, I reached out to you. And when I opened the magazine and seen your face, I read a couple of pieces from you, said, this guy will answer back. He'll answer back. And sure enough, you did. So again, you're making a difference in your part. And it's just awesome, man. Meeting awesome people like you. And hopefully someone listens and contacts me and it keeps going. Hopefully we talk again. Or if you come up here, we'll fly drones. We'll go eat something good. We'll do something in Death Valley, whatever. You just give me a call, man. You got my.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Ping me and we'll make it happen.
Yeah. What? We will make it happen. I'll get up there, and somewhere in there, we're gonna kick back a beer too. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing that out there.
I'm a rum guy, so I sip on rum. But yeah, if it's a dark beer, dark as mud.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll
be. No. You know what? I'm good with a rum drink. I'm in for that too.
Yeah, we'll be pirates, and we'll talk some pirate stories that we didn't even talk about in Mexico. So that's another whole conversation of my days. I was, doing fun trips down to Mexico, not all within the law, but yeah, a little bit of a pirate. Good stuff. Just doing good stuff. I'm a good pirate.
Okay. I like it. I like it a lot. Right on. Jason, my friend, thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you in the very near future. And when we get together, it'll be more stories. All right.
Awesome, man. Thank you, Jason.
My pleasure. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are out of here.
Go.
Now, it's time for me to pull chocks and take off. But before I go, I'm always looking for the memorable rescues that people have done. If you have one that you're willing to share or know somebody who has a story, please feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to highlight it here at the Real ResQ. For everybody that is standing by for that SAR alarm, remember, those in distress are praying for a miracle. They are going to get you. So until next time, fly safe and swim hard. Thank you for joining me today here at the Real ResQ Podcast, powered by Vertical Helicast. We'd also like to say thank you to our sponsors for this episode.
Blue Drop Training and Simulation. Blue Drop Training and Simulation for equipping your team with essential training solutions, including highly interactive courseware and advanced VR/MR simulation training tools. Explore more of Blue Drop's training solutions at bluedropts.com.
And
Anodyne Electronics Manufacturing, a leading manufacturer of trusted special mission avionics for law enforcement, aerial firefighting, and utility operators. Visit www.aem-corp.com and learn how AEM's digital communication and loudspeaker systems, avionics consoles, radios, and specialty audio products can support your most demanding missions.
Go.
Hank 242, go ahead.
Yeah, Jason, Dev, give me a number here. The wind could cut.